I'm in the mood to change things up a little bit today. So, grab a different horn to normal. I'm going with my flugelhorn. And come back. Hi, Bryan from Airflow Music here once again. Welcome back to another video. This is day 23 of our Go Practice Daily series. Like I said, I'm in the mood to do something a little bit different today. So even though the exercises are the same, a couple of little things we're changing up. What I suggest you do for variety is, if you have a double, an alternate instrument that you play rather than just the trumpet, grab that for a change. And let's play the exercises on that today. Personally, I'm going with my flugelhorn. I know from the comments that some of you play things like valve trombone or cornet as well. Any of those things are great. Grab one and let's have a little bit of a change today. Okay? There's another change coming later, but we'll get to that. Anyway, with a new instrument in hand, let's get into the exercises. Starting out with set 4, exercise 1, as ever. And this one, let's let the different instrument be the change that we make here, just to see how that responds and how our lips get moving, and the air works a little differently maybe with a different instrument. Let's check it out. So the rest of the stuff is all the same. We are going at 60 beats a minute. My focus here is playing in time, so I'm tapping my foot and subdividing the beat. I'm breath starting the first note of every phrase, and I'm attempting to breathe in time on the rest bar. Out for 2 beats, in for 2 beats. Now, I'm playing this long setting as always, so the mouthpiece remains on my lips throughout. Hope some of you are building up towards this. How's that going for you? I don't think I've checked in with some of you in a few days. Please let me know in the comments below how that's getting along and if you're making it all the way through the long setting now. Other than that, yeah, nothing much more to say. Grab your horn, let's get into exercise 1. Okay, so there's exercise 1. Rather an enjoyable one. You know, a couple of things respond a little differently. It feels a little strange holding a differently shaped horn up for that long. That's the thing I notice most of all that is different, is, you know, the place I hold this instrument and the amount I have to lift is a little bit different. So, you know, the rest of the muscles of my body react a little differently to that. So, you know, I feel a slight stiffness in my shoulder by the end of it. But that's also a good reason to practice on your doubles. So you're familiar with all those things when it comes time to play them. Very often we get locked into playing the trumpet and never picking up the flugelhorn or anything else. So, always a good idea to do that from time to time. Other than that, basically everything responded fairly well. We're quite accustomed, I think, by now to playing this exercise or one of the previous variations, and we're well into the fourth week actually. We've done this for over 3 weeks now, so we should be fairly well attuned to how that feels for the most part. So no surprise really that the response is improving and things are becoming more consistent. How are you finding that? Are you experiencing the same thing? I hope so. Anyway, onwards. Let's go to exercise 2. This is where we're going to make a second change. Not only am I playing my flugelhorn this time, but I'm also going to increase the tempo slightly. Now, we're not making a massive jump. We're going up by 10%. So we're going from 80 beats a minute up to 88 beats a minute. And I picked that in particular partly because it's 10% and partly because if you have an old-fashioned metronome rather than a newfangled digital one with the metronome markings not in sequential beats, then, you know, 88 is usually a number that appears on there. So you'll be able to use your own metronome along with the video. Okay? So, other than that, the exercise is the same. Once again, we're playing set 4, exercise 2, And apart from the fact that we're now going at 88 beats a minute, everything else we're dealing with is the same as it has been. So we have 3 bars of triplets. We're slurring the first bar, tonguing the second bar, and doing 2 beats each, slurring and tonguing on the third bar, before the whole notes hold, and then the 2 bars rest. This is not a long setting exercise, as ever, so I'm getting the mouthpiece off my lips during the 2 bars rest and resetting in time to breathe and play again on the downbeat. Okay? Other than that, we're doing the same thing. So there it is, basically the same thing as usual, just a little bit faster. Let's get into it. Okay, so there's exercise 2. It made a nice change to do that a bit quicker, don't you think? Rather enjoyed that. Got it done a little bit faster, which is, not to be underestimated from time to time. Sometimes a change is as good as a rest. And so, I had a couple moments there where things didn't speak quite as clearly as they might. But overall, I really enjoyed doing that. Playing it a little bit faster, so it didn't take quite as long. And got the fingers moving a little bit more quickly. I was getting really comfortable playing the triplets at 80. So it's nice to change it up a little bit. Even though it's still fairly comfortable, you notice the difference. Anyway, how did you find that? How's the tempo for you? Not a huge difference, but it is something. So please comment below and let me know how you found it. Always interested to hear. Other than that, I think that's basically it for this video. Time to keep moving and get on to working on something else. So, the usual things apply. If you've enjoyed this and you're enjoying these exercises, please do hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, particularly if you're visiting us for the first time. Welcome, and it's always good to have you along. And other than that, I will see you in the next one. So, until tomorrow when I see you again, I think you know what to do. Go practice.